Hey gamers, welcome to my game room. AJ from Rolling with Roc here. It's Tuesday, ROCtober 20th, and that means I'm hitting you with a deep dive into a board game with Roc reviews, Cartographers, a role-player tale from Jordy, Adan, and Thunderworks games. Quick reminder, it is the month of ROCtober, and I am giving you new board game content every Monday through Saturday here on this YouTube channel. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays are the top 67 board games of all time. Tuesdays, like today, is a Roc review. Thursdays is a Roc Reacts unboxing video. And Saturday mornings, my son Remy joins me and we take a look at some kids games. You can also join me on Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern over at twitch.tv/rollingwithroc, where I stream live on the table board games or digital board games. Just on this Sunday night, I was joined by Melissa McCack from Room 51, and we played Dice Masters head-to-head. Melissa beat me. It was a great game. I really enjoyed getting to do that with her. So we will see what we have down the road for other live streams. I will also be doing streams of Among Us, Fall Guys. I now have a capture card so I can stream Switch games, and those will be just happening random days of the week throughout ROCtober and beyond. A couple weeks back, we took a look at the Flip and Write Welcome To, and this is another Flip and Write game that launched that genre into the stratosphere. Cartographers is always at or near the top of everybody's list of best flip and write / roll and write games, and it is on mine as well. It just recently got filmed in my top 67 board games of all time, so look for that to see where it lands. But I said this back then. It's been a long time since that point, or it feels even longer. But we got our copy of Cartographers at Gen Con 2019, I believe. Was it 2018? I can't remember that at the moment. It's been so long. The year we got Cartographers from Gen Con, I said Cartographers was my game of the con. And that is high praise for me, for the sole fact that we end up coming back with a lot of board games. We are able to drive to Gen Con and drive back, so we are able to store more games than somebody who would be flying. And when we come back with a ton of games, and this game here is the one that stands out from all the others as my game of the con after the fact, makes a huge impression. And so Cartographers is a game, it's a flip and write, where everybody gets a playmat, or not a playmat, a sheet like this, and you will be using pencils to draw shapes on the map. You are a cartographer, which is a map maker, if you're not familiar with the term, set off by the queen to chart the new lands that she wishes to control. You would do so with shapes that are given to you on cards. These are what is flipping out onto the table that allows you to draw these different Tetris-like shapes on your map. But in addition to the shapes, those shapes have terrains, and you draw little symbols inside the terrains, or inside the shapes, to mark those terrains. And by following the 4 edicts, or your goals for each season, you can score reputation stars and earn victory at the end of the game. All that said, let's go down to the table. I will show you how to set up a game of Cartographers, how to play, and then we'll come back up. I'll give you my final thoughts on the game and my Roc rating. Here on the table is the opening setup for Cartographers. You're going to give each player a play sheet, and the players collectively will decide if they are using this side or that side of the map. I'm going to go ahead and choose that one. You set the season cards out here in a pile with spring on top of summer, on top of fall, on top of winter. You are going to have your enemy stack right here. You take these cards and just put them to the side for the moment. And then you have your season card or your tile cards right here, and you'll just give those a nice shuffle. But you're also going to shuffle in one of the enemies. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that right now and give that another good shuffle. And then that will be our starting deck for spring. Now what you do is you divide the goal cards into the 4 piles based off of their backings, and then you will choose one goal card for each one of these. And so we're just going to go ahead and grab one each, and then I will explain what the goal cards do. You can just go ahead and sit all the rest of the goals back in the box. You will not need them for this game. That is very hard to pick up. So we're just picking our goals for this game. You would just do this randomly, but I'm just choosing a couple different ones that are easier to explain. So that would be how the game would look at the very beginning. And now you can see that, I'm going to go ahead and move these just so you can still see the names of the cards. You can see that in the first season here in spring, it has decrees of A and B listed. That means that in the first season, we will be scoring goal A and goal B. So in this case, goal A is earn 3 reputation stars for each complete diagonal line of filled spaces that touch the left and bottom edges of the map. So every diagonal line, starting from here all the way to there. And so you can work your way on this whole half of the map. Now if you built right here, these diagonal lines would not count because these are not touching the left or the bottom half of the map. That would be the upper and the right. So if you built right here, that doesn't count. But putting one terrain in this square right here counts as a diagonal. Then here, so you kind of want to start working that one up from the bottom left corner of the map and work your way towards the middle if you're going for that goal. In B, we have earn 8 reputation stars for each cluster of 6 or more village spaces. And so when village cards come out, you're looking to put at least 6 village terrain tiles next to each other, but then you want to separate it, because if you continue to build in that one area, that's still only one cluster of villages that is 6 or more. You want to have multiple 6 or more villages to gain you those 8 points. Once we move on to rounds of like summer, which has C on it, we would play this card, the Sentient Wood, which is earn 1 reputation star for each forest space adjacent to the edge of the map. Now that is a great card. If you saw that looking ahead, of course, you would know what was coming. That works well in with the one that you're doing the diagonals, because you can set up the whole left and bottom portion of the map, if you wish, with forest, if the cards help you do that. And then you have in D, which would be first available during fall, you have the Canal Lake, and earn 1 reputation star for each water space adjacent to at least 1 farm space. You earn 1 reputation star for each farm space adjacent to at least 1 water space. So that's giving you double the points, because if you have one farm and one water right next to you, those are 2 points each. Now, if you have a water next to multiple farm, it's still only counting as 1 point for the water. But every one of those farms would score 1 point for against the water. So that's, you kind of have an idea. You look at all 4 of your goals going into the game. Those are all available to you and known right away. And then what happens is you have this number above the card, which is 8. That is the time of the season. You're going to go ahead and flip the first card off the deck. And you can see right here, there's a number at the very top of the card. That is the amount of time that is passing for this card. This is a hamlet. It allows you to build village, and you can choose one of 2 different shapes to use. If you choose the smaller shape, in this case, you can build, or you can use a coin. And what coins do, you can cross off the coins down here. They are permanent victory points that you score each round. So if you had 2 coins at the end of the first round, you're going to score those here. Those coins are going to carry over into summer, fall, and winter, and any other subsequent coins that you cross off after the fact will also be added in. So those are a great way to earn reputation stars or victory points in the game. Now, you can also choose to get the bigger symbol or shape of villages in this case, but you would lose out on the coin. All players get to choose to do one of two of those shapes on their map anywhere that they choose. You do not have to build adjacent to anything that you have previously done. If you surround a mountain tile in any sort of way during the game, that unlocks a coin. So on your map, you already have the access to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coins in this case that you would cross off down here and earn stars, as well as any times that these cards come out and have a coin on them as well. So let's just go ahead, and what I'm going to do is work this a little bit. I'm going to take the one with the coin, because coins are always nice, especially if you can get them right off the bat, and then draw a little house. My drawing is not good, so forgive me for that, but I am just drawing little houses in an L shape, and then you can draw the shape as well. I've seen it done both ways, so I went ahead and outlined that shape around that mountain. I drew 3 little houses there. You can see them just like that. And that's what you do that for the whole game. So you go ahead and flip another card over. Now this is the second card of this turn. It's got a 2 on it. So that means now we have a cumulative time of 3. And in this case, whereas before we could choose only to draw villages, but we had 2 different shapes, now we have the option of village or farmland, but we have only 1 shape. So we have to draw this T shape right here, but we can do it in farmland or in grassland. And since I already have a small homestead going, what I'm going to do is add to that with this, and that will help me block off some more of this mountain. So I'm going to go ahead and, oh, actually, yeah, I just put that here. So we've got 3 across, 1, 2, 3, and then down, and more houses. And this will give me my first set of at least 6 village tiles next to each other. So you can see that right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. When we score B in spring and in summer, that is worth 8 victory points right there. Now, it does not benefit me to build more villages against this. I would want to do that somewhere else to start another set of at least 6 village tiles. So now, like I was saying, we have a cumulative time of 3. When that time reaches 8, that will be the end of spring. So let's go ahead and flip another card over, and we've got an orchard, and this orchard has a time of 2, so that brings us to cumulative time of 5. And now we have forest or grassland and in an L shape. And when you draw these shapes, you can flip them or mirror them as long as it has that basic shape of 3 horizontal and then 1 off of the end like that. You can do with it whatever you would like. So what I'm going to do, since we want forest along the edge of the map, I am going to draw trees right along the edge in a L shape. So there you go right here. As an example, that is where I put the orchard. And like I said, we are up to 5. So let's go ahead and flip another one. And now we have marshlands. Another 2, so we're at 7. That means the next card, I believe, will end the spring season. Marshlands lets you build either forest or water in this larger T shape. And again, we like forest next to the edge of the map, so that might be a good thing to put. So what we're going to do is, I believe I can put this right here. Yes. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my forest very quickly. Again, I am not an artist, so I am not trying to draw these perfect. I also like when people do draw these really nicely, they use color pencils to represent the different terrain types. So that's always something you can do. So that's where I put my marshland. 3 this way, 3 that way. Right along the edge of the map, trying to earn more points for the C goal. Now let's go ahead and see what we've got here. All right, we got, so even though this is going over the time, it still is acceptable because you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now the tree chop village, you can put trees or village in this little Z shape here. Let me go ahead and get that a little bit closer in that Z shape. Now this is an interesting choice because in B, we like to have villages of at least 6 spaces. But in C, we like to have forest along the edge of the map. And since you have 3 straight pieces here, that could be 3 pieces right along the edge, but you could also have 5 out of 6 village tiles you need to create another 8-point village. And since you only need at least 6 tiles to get 8 points, and each one of these is a 1-pointer, I think I might use that as a village and start a new one somewhere else. So what I'll just do ahead is houses right along here, come over here, my really bad drawing, and Z shape. So I went ahead and built down there so that I was away from this other cluster. You do not want to build these 2 next to each other with this specific goal. And then that would be the end of spring. You would flip spring over. You would shuffle up all of your deck. And at the start of the season, you shuffle in a new monster card. Now we didn't see the monster from spring. That means there are now 2 monsters in the deck. And these ambush cards, the monster cards, will stay in there until you reveal them. Let's say I went ahead and shuffled, and then the first card of the deck was revealed to be this ambush card. What you're going to do is, in this case, we would pass to, which way is that? Left? To your left. You're going to go ahead and rotate that in that direction to all players. I hand my sheet off to another player. They are going to draw the monster symbol in this little T shape on my board. More than likely away from anything that I have drawn already. So I'm going to go ahead and just make that on my map to show you. Seems like a decent place to do it right here. And again, my drawing is not good, so I do apologize. So this might be something I get back from one of my opponents, where the monsters are put right there. And what happens is at the end of a round, any monster tile that is not surrounded is -1 point. So I would have to fill in all of these spaces to negate the points loss from these monsters. And that's why you want to put them where they haven't built around yet. If they were to put it right up against this one, it'd be a lot easier for me to negate that point loss. And you do that for 4 rounds. Once you complete that ambush card, that is out of the game. That doesn't come back. So you only ever see each ambush card once, but if you don't see it during a round, it stays in the deck to possibly come up later. So you're going to do a time of 8 for summer, then fall is only a time of 7, and then winter is only a time of 6. So the rounds do get a little bit shorter. And when you come back around to winter, you do score A again. So A can be a big point getter depending on what the goal is, because you've had all game to potentially get this. Sometimes when people play, they were like, oh, I did A in the beginning, I kind of forget about it. And they don't realize that at the very end, you're scoring D in fall and winter, which can be big points too because you just have more on your board. You don't usually score too much in your first season or even your second season. The big point getters are your third and your fourth. But you can get a lot of points from A because you have sowed the groundwork for that, just like you did in D. And at the end of the game, what you're going to do is, down here at the bottom, as you go along each round, you're going to write your points that you got for A and B, the points you got for your coins, and the points you lost for your monsters. You're going to do that for summer with B and C, coins and monsters, for fall with C and D, coins and monsters, and then for winter, D and A, coins and monsters. And you're going to add those 4 totals up, and that is ultimately how many reputation stars you get for the end of the game of Cartographers. And that is how you play Cartographers. We're going to go ahead and come back up off the table. I will give you my final thoughts on the game and my Roc rating. Now that we're back up off the table, it's time for my final thoughts on Cartographers, a role player's tale. And there's a reason why Cartographers rates so highly on my top 67 board games of all time, and for many others in their top games as well. It is just a clean, succinct system that does what you want it to do in so many ways. At its core, you're just flipping a card and then drawing a shape and some symbols on a piece of paper. But it engages you so much that the time that you play, the 30 minutes or so that you put into the game, seem to fly by. I like the fact that you pass your sheet off to another player when one of the enemies attack, and they have to draw symbols on your piece of paper, therefore possibly messing up what you were looking to do, depending on how mean or how nice your opponent is. I think that is a really interesting portion of this game. I really like seeing the different strategies that people take, even, because you all start with the same map, and you're all given the same cards. So it's really just down to personal preference or personal choice of where all those symbols are going to go. And everything's laid in front of you, and then you just kind of go off to the races. That's the really cool thing about games like Cartographers, or like we covered a couple weeks ago, Welcome To. Everybody's given the same playing field, and then what you personally choose to do with it is how you win or lose the game. So it is very much a skill-based game. And yeah, there's some luck of what might come based off what you've already done, but a lot of it's just, you know, on you, the player. And I think that's a really great aspect. I love that you can play, you know, you can play this with as many people as you have a sheet from. Just like I said with Welcome to a couple weeks back, this is a great game for playing digitally via live stream. You know, I know a lot of streamers that have been playing the Cartographer Heroes variant of this, which is just finishing up on Kickstarter, and I will put a link in the description below for that. So don't forget to check that out as well. I know it is Cartographers Heroes is a standalone expansion to Cartographers. I did back that on Kickstarter, just as an FYI. I don't know if that matters at all, but I did back Cartographer Heroes. We enjoy Cartographers so much, along with Role Player a ton. So we have we like to support Thunderworks because they're doing a great job with the games, not just the Cartographers line, but with the games that they're coming out with. I like to support publishers that are making amazing games, and I just was wanting more content for Cartographers. So, and I think a lot of others were, and Thunderworks is delivering that next year, which is going to be great, and I look forward to covering that version of the game as well. But for Cartographers, it is, you know, very high on my top 67 board games of all time. You have to check out that list to see exactly where it falls. But it just has, you know, it has enough playability in all the different goal cards. Each set of goal cards, there's 4 sets. Each one has 4 different cards. So you have 16 different goal cards that you can play around with and change that up. There are multiple monster cards, and then there's always more land tile or land cards than you're ever going to draw on a turn. So that always changes that up as well. And honestly, I think while the player number doesn't necessarily matter, how many people are playing, I think the games will feel different if you're playing, let's say, 3 people versus, you know, 10 or 20 or even more than that. The box says you can play up to 100. That's just because they give you 100 sheets of paper to start with. But if you have a PDF or a digital printing of the game, you could play it as you know, many people as you would want. And I'm not positive on this. I should have looked it up beforehand. But I think there's even an app. I don't know. I don't think it's a companion app like with Welcome to. I think it is a play the game app, but I'm not positive on that. If there is a Cartographer app, I will post a link to that as well in the description below, because I just like to cover all bases for that. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Cartographers. Now it is time for my Roc rating for Cartographers. And I have said probably everything that I can say about Cartographers already. But officially, Rolling with Roc gives Cartographers an Ultra Ball rating. Like I said, I have been saying this is very high on my top games of all time. So no doubt was it getting the Ultra Ball rating from me. This is a game that anytime it's pulled off the shelf, a smile comes to my face. I will play this game at home with my game group. I will play this game at cons with, you know, friends that I've never met before, and I will enjoy it both times equally. It's not a game that I think you play and then you get tired of. Just because of the playability, the replayability in it, and the amount of ways that you can play the game. Every single person approaches what you're given on that card just a little bit differently. It's the same thing, you know, going back to our review of Welcome to 2 weeks ago. It's the same thing with that. You can play that game over and over and over and over, and it doesn't feel old. I think that really good flippin' rights and rollin' rights, like Cartographers, that's one of the reasons why this genre has exploded. Small boxes most of the time, low cost compared to some of the bigger games, shorter play times, and that feeling of the game isn't getting old if you play it over and over. And that combination is rare. To be able to play a game in a low amount of time, you didn't spend a lot of money on it, you enjoy it every single time you play it, like, that is, and it can play any number of players. So it's, you don't look at the game and go, we can't play that one because it only plays 2 players, or, well, I would love to play this game, but we need at least 5 people to play. That's never a problem with Cartographers. You can play this 1 to infinity, and that's, like, there's so many things that make this, little game, I say little, it's not tiny, but this game so special. And other games in the genre, special as well. But Cartographers is, cream of the crop, top of the line, at the top of the class for flippin' rights. And I am, grateful and thankful that we have this in our collection. I love playing it, and I hope that you guys, if you haven't checked it out already, are just as excited about this game as I am. Go ahead and check out Cartographers. It will not set you back a lot to put this into your collection. And when most people in the board game hobby are asked, what do you start a board game collection with if you're on a budget? Cartographers is almost always on the list because you can get so many plays out of it. You can play any player account, like I said, and it's inexpensive. So check out Cartographers. If you already have Cartographers, make sure you check out that Cartographers Heroes Kickstarter that is just at the end of their campaign. That will add more stuff to your Cartographers game, also give you a separate standalone game. And yeah, that is all of my thoughts and my rating for Cartographers. And that should do it for me here. Thank you so much for viewing this episode of Roc Reviews Cartographers. Look out for tomorrow, Wednesday, another episode of Rolling with Roc's top 67 board games of all time, and I will be covering numbers 25 through 21. On Thursday, I will be doing a Roc Reacts unboxing video. Friday will be more top 67 board games. And then Saturday, Remy and I will be looking at another kids game. Thank you so much for viewing all of my content. Don't forget to leave likes and comments down below. And as if you are subscribed to this channel, you can be entered into Board Game Trick or Treat, which is a giveaway at the end of the month on ROCtober 31st. Also, come over to twitch.tv/rollingwithroc and hang out with us as we do streams of board games, digital games, video games, and games like Among Us and Fall Guys. I hope you'll join us over there. Thank you so much for watching this video once again. I hope you have a great rest of your Tuesday. This was AJ from Rolling with Roc, and you are watching ROCtober.